Having a good student bank account is one of the best ways to stay on top of your money at university. So with that in mind, here are our expert picks for this year, plus what you should be looking out for. Hey everyone, it's Tom here again from Save the Student, and today we're going to be diving into one of the most important decisions you'll make whilst you're at university, and that's choosing the right student bank account. Now, to help you make the right decision, we're going to be running through what you should be looking for. We'll review the best accounts available in 2024-25, and we'll be giving you some extra tips on making your money go further. But before we do, make sure to hit like and subscribe for loads more advice on student life and managing your money. So first off, let's talk about student bank account overdrafts. Now, an overdraft, just in case you're not aware, is essentially a safety net on your bank account formed of some of the bank's money that you can borrow to allow you to keep spending even when your balance drops below £0. With a normal bank account, you'll usually be charged interest for dipping into your overdraft, and this could be anything from 20 to 40% on the amount that you've borrowed. And because of that, in normal adult life, it is generally advised that you stay out of your overdraft if you possibly can. But student bank account overdrafts are usually interest free, which means that you won't be charged interest on the amount that you've borrowed as long as you stay within your arranged or planned overdraft. In other words, the amount of overdraft that you've agreed with the bank in advance. This is super useful for students because a lot of the time you'll either find yourself working to a tight budget or waiting for your next student loan payment to come in. In fact, even if you're going to university with the very best intentions of never ever going into your overdraft, there is a reasonable chance that you might just end up there anyway at some point. But despite the security that a student bank account interest-free overdraft can offer, there are a few things that you need to know. And crucially, one of those things is that where a bank advertises a certain overdraft, you can sometimes be unlikely to get the full amount, at least not straight away anyway. So while some banks will offer a guaranteed amount, others will offer an overdraft of up to a certain amount. And what that means is that the amount that you get will depend on certain factors like, for instance, your credit score, which is essentially a way of the bank knowing how reliable you are at borrowing and repaying money. And even when a bank is offering a guaranteed amount, it might be that they just gradually increase it the longer you're at uni. So let's say that a bank is offering a £3,000 interest-free overdraft. It might be that you only get £1,000 in your first year, £2,000 in your second year, and don't get that £3,000 until you're in your third year. So with all of that in mind, it is worth thinking about whether you'd like the guarantee of a certain size of overdraft, or if you're thinking about going for an up to overdraft, it's also worth checking out your credit score. So do head to the guide linked to in the description of this video, where we run through how to check your credit rating and how to improve it. And then the other thing that you need to remember with these overdrafts is that you will eventually have to repay it. Although the good news is that you won't have to do this straight away when you finish university, because at this point, all student bank accounts become graduate bank accounts. So with a graduate bank account, you will get to keep your interest-free overdraft for at least a year, if not longer. Although, if your graduate bank account interest-free overdraft does last for more than a year, unlike when you're a student and the maximum amount would steadily increase each year, as a graduate bank account, that maximum amount will steadily decrease each year and then eventually disappear altogether. Still though, it's a really useful extra buffer to have to let you pay off the overdraft as you graduate and start finding work and earning money, but just make sure to pay off that overdraft before the 0% period ends, because if you don't, you will start being charged interest. Now let's move on to what's probably the more exciting stuff, the freebies. Student bank accounts often come with some kind of sign-up bonus to draw you in, and these can sometimes be worth a couple of £100. And typically you'd be looking at things like shopping vouchers, maybe a rail card, maybe even some cash in your account. And this year, as we'll cover later, one of the banks is even offering to pay the tuition fees of a handful of students, which is a hell of an offer. But it's super important not to choose an account based on a freebies, because surviving on a student budget isn't easy. And as we discussed earlier, there is a good chance you'll end up in your overdraft. So it's way more important to focus on that side of things instead of the freebies. So the way I would always frame it is to compare the value of the freebies to the value of the extra overdraft. So let's say you have two accounts. One has a £2,000 overdraft and a £100 freebie, and the other has a £3,000 overdraft but no freebie. Chances are that extra £1,000 of interest-free cash is going to be way more useful to you than the £100 freebie. So that's probably the account to go for, especially when you consider that, again, without that overdraft, you could be pushed into using more expensive forms of borrowing like a credit card. And even if the freebie is something like a rail card, where you can use it to continually save money over time, do consider the cost of just buying it yourself. So rail cards often go on sale throughout the year, so there's actually every chance you could buy it at a reduced price and go for the account with the bigger overdraft. Okay, so let's get to the main event, the best student bank accounts in 2024-25. We've done the research and we've compared all the options, focusing on the size of the interest-free overdrafts, how satisfied students are with the accounts, and yes, the freebies too. Oh, and just a quick note to say that if you're already at university and you already have a student bank account, you can still switch to another one. The only thing to bear in mind is that you might not always get the sign-up freebie, so do check the T's and C's first. So first up in our rundown of the best student bank accounts this year are the student accounts from NatWest and RBS, and the reason we're doing them together is that they're part of the same banking group and the offers are exactly the same. So we'll start off by looking at the overdrafts, and you can see that you get £500 in your first term, which rises up to £2,000 for the rest of your first year and your second year. And then in your third year, eligible students can get up to £3,250, which is more than any other bank. Now, unlike some other banks, there isn't a guarantee that you will get this maximum overdraft in your third year, but you do still have a pretty good chance of getting it, so do bear that in mind. And then onto the freebies, and both RBS and NatWest are offering the same two sign-up incentives. So you have the £100 cash, which is arguably the more eye-catching of the two, but the 4-year taste card I would say is pretty decent too. So in case you don't know, a taste card gets you 2 for 1 at loads of restaurants, plus discounts on cinema tickets and days out too. Now, at the time of filming this video, they are selling a yearly membership for about £30, although sometimes you can get it cheaper with deals. So in theory, across the 4 years of taste card membership that you get, that's up to another £120 worth of freebies, plus all the savings that a taste card can get you in future on top of that. And obviously there are some terms and conditions attached to, like needing to have lived in the UK for at least 3 years. So do give those a read in our guide, which we've linked to below. So I think it's pretty clear why we've decided to include NatWest and RBS in our picks of the top student bank accounts this year. Both of them are offering up to some of the highest overdraft amounts you can get with any bank. The freebies that they're offering as well on both accounts, both pretty good. And also, every single year we run a student banking survey where, among other things, we ask students to evaluate their bank out of 5. In our most recent survey, NatWest and RBS came first and second. So NatWest had a score of 4.28 out of 5 and RBS had a score of 4.17 out of 5. So even aside from all of those other perks you get with both bank accounts, you should hopefully be getting some decent customer service with them too. Next up in our top picks, it's the Santander Edge Student Current Account. So looking at Santander's overdraft, one of the big selling points and something that I would say really sets it apart from other banks is that all students will get the full £1,500 overdraft for the 3 years of a standard degree. So for most students, there will be no tiered system or no up to a certain amount. Now, I say most students because obviously you can see that if you're doing a 4 or 5 year degree, which some of you might be, it does slightly increase to £1,800 and then £2,000. And you'll also see that it doesn't quite hit £1,500 as soon as you open the account. So it does start off at 250 quid and it should increase to £1,500 within your first year. And to get it, you'll need to deposit at least £500 into the account every 4 months. But realistically, your maintenance loan payment should cover that. As for the freebies, Santander's student account comes with a 4-year 16 to 25 rail card. So that'll get you off a third of train travel in the UK. Officially, this is worth around 100 quid, although as we mentioned earlier, you can find them on sale, so sometimes you can get it for less. But either way, one of the really great things about this account is that they have confirmed to us that even if you are a current student, you could be eligible to receive the rail card. And our tip would be that if you want both the rail card and the bigger overdraft, there's not really anything to stop you from switching to the account, waiting for the free rail card, which should arrive within 60 days, and then going elsewhere to get the bigger overdraft on top. And then, as well as all of that, Santander are that special bank that I mentioned earlier, who are offering a prize to pay your tuition fee. So 20 students will get £27,750, so that's 3 years worth of fees, and 30 students will get £9,250, so that's 1 year of fees. But here's the interesting thing. There's no obligation to use the money to pay your tuition fees. So given everything we always say about how fees are covered in full by a loan, and how you may not ever repay that loan in full anyway, you might just be better off putting that cash towards your living costs or in a high interest savings account instead. But either way, as I say, this is essentially a lottery. So as tempting as it might be, as great as those numbers sound, I wouldn't recommend going for Santander just for the prize draw alone. So despite the fact that that tuition fee draw is very far from a sure thing, Santander definitely deserves to be one of the top picks for student bank accounts this year, particularly because, as I say, having that guaranteed overdraft of £1,500 really sets it apart from everyone else. And then if we look at the student satisfaction scores from our student banking survey, Santander came third, so 4.14, not that far behind RBS, and still a very strong showing from a bank that came first in all of the previous 3 surveys. And last but not least, the final bank in our top student bank accounts this year is Nationwide's FlexStudent Account. So one of the big draws of the Nationwide account is the size of its interest-free overdraft. It's not quite as big as the maximum available with NatWest and RBS, but it's not far off once you get to the third year, and you will get a guaranteed £1,000 in the first year. And then going forward, as long as you continue to deposit £500 a term, pass credit checks, and you keep a healthy account, you should get that £3,000 in your third year as well. Then looking at the freebies, and Nationwide sign-up offers are actually some of the highest value of any student bank account. So as well as getting a £100 cash bonus. You'll also get £10 in Just Eat vouchers every month for 12 months. So that's £120 across the first year. And when you combine the two freebies together, that's £220 in total. Obviously, there are terms and conditions, so you can't have already benefited from a nationwide student offer in the past, and you'll have to pay at least £500 into the account to get that £100 bonus. But again, we'd always encourage you to read the T's and C's both in our guide and on each bank's website. So again, Nationwide, I think another bank where it's very clear to see why we've included them as one of the best student bank accounts this year. The overdraft amounts that they're offering are very strong. The freebies that they're offering are some of the best you'll get with any student bank account this year. And then revisiting those student satisfaction scores from our student banking survey. In the most recent one, Nationwide got 4.13 out of 5. So just behind Santander and not that far behind RBS either. So as I say, very, very difficult to find any faults with the Nationwide account. Obviously though, all the other usual suspects are offering their own student bank accounts this year with their own selection of interest-free overdrafts and freebies. So HSBC, Lloyds, Halifax, Barclays, TSB and the Co-op are all offering student accounts again this year, with maximum overdrafts ranging from £1,500 to £3,000 and freebies including cash bonuses and interest paid when your account balance is above £0. So although we have our top picks, you might find that one of these works better for you. So do check out our guide, which again, we have linked to in the description below. I would also say as well, it is worth considering also having an app-based bank account from someone like Starling or Monzo or Revolut alongside your student bank account and using your app-based bank account for your day-to-day spending. So you'd keep your student bank account as your main bank account, getting your student loan paid into it and whatever else. But then each week or each month, you can set yourself a budget for how much you want to spend. And then you transfer that money into your app-based bank account. That way you get all the benefits of a student account, especially that interest-free overdraft. But you also have this extra account to help you manage your spending because you're limiting yourself to only spending X amount each week or each month. Plus, app-based banks tend to have their own extra features too, including budgeting tools. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. So if that sounds like something that you want to try, we do, surprise, surprise, have another guide to the best app-based and mobile banks, which we have of course linked to in the description below. And there you have it. Those are the best student bank accounts for 2024-25. But don't forget to check out our guide on the website for the latest updates and detailed reviews for all of these accounts, because very occasionally some of the details do change over time. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. So I'll see you next time with loads more tips for making your money go further at university.